Hello there ladies and gentlemen, Cyborg here, welcome back to another video. So in this one I'm going to take a look at some more Sword fights, and that's pretty interesting reward in fact. So first up we're going to have Mr. Freeze here, and I did a video about him specifically yesterday, fighting kind of the same boss. The only difference between that fight and this fight is that right now I'm using Vixen. Instead, actually Classic Wonderman, I think Vixen was in the other team if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we're not using Brainiac and we're trying to see how much damage we're gonna get. And there's a pretty interesting thing that should be kept in mind for future fights and future uses of the artifact. You should not trigger it too soon, because if you have infinite power, you're no longer going to consume power bars when you're using specials. And if you're no longer going to consume power bars when you're using specials, your damage buff will get stuck at the certain amount it is at that point. For this fight specifically, it did not make a difference, because we are going to clean up this fight anyway, but for future fights I'm going to pay extra attention to not actually get to full stacks before I am done with stacking Mr. Freeze's passive. But yeah, moving on to the next one, we're going to have a fight against Boss Starfire, and it's gonna be a Dr. Fate Raven Kinflant Sakuman, and she's not that bad. Like, okay, I can already hear in my head someone typing, but Sigvald, you're using Raven with Kinflant Sakuman, with Beta Club on Kinflant Sakuman, and with Sword of Sin or Raven. Yeah, but we're gonna also have some fights from the secondary account against her where I don't have Beta Club or Sword of Sin, and she was not that hard to deal with in those fights either. They're gonna be more free-to-play friendly, but yeah, this fight I absolutely destroyed her. With the Sword of Sin we're able to keep her at 0 power, and with Beta Club we're gonna deal a lot of damage. Like, the biggest selling point of this boss, despite all her annoying things that she can do, is the fact that she's the boss on the left in the arrangement of bosses, because as you go to the right, they get more health and they get more attack. And so far, she's not doing that much damage to me, and I'm not the strongest in this already, because I didn't spend any money so far, so the only things that are able to give him passive stats is gonna be a level 1 Puppet of Zatanna, and our health is quite low overall. And considering that, she deals very low damage. Okay, so we got her killed. That's about it. Quite fast fight, but again, we're gonna get more in-depth fights on the secondary account, so don't worry about that. We're gonna have a quick fight against Cyborg. I added Zatanna to the mix because I was quite unsure if the League of Anarchy team could actually kill this fight without Zatanna. And we have sort of Salvation on Zatanna, which is gonna allow us to power steal from this man, and this way giving us more power generation. But I need to be careful with it, because the sort of Salvation can be actually counterproductive, because we're stealing this power from him. And while that allows us to use specials more often, it also means that he's gonna stay at low power, and if he has no power, we can't power steal, and if we can't power steal with Zatanna specials, we can't stack the passive. It would have been amazing if she could also get the damage buff from the power steal on basic attack hits. That would have been instant. Harley with a super move there. We waste a lot of time of this fight, but it's fine. We have plenty of time to kill this man. Special 2 from Harley, and we're already dealing some decent amounts of damage. We're not even comfortably sitting on the Dark Mel cards yet. There we go, that's the true potential of damage. Zatanna died. You can see that she was not really that low on health and died from a 16k super move, so yeah, we don't have that tanky stats. Moving on to the next one, we have Boss Shazam here. And he's a little bit damaged, but we need to push that to full health damage. So we have the Puppet of Zatanna on Battle on the Drowned, and the Beta Club on Battle on Laughs. The Beta Club is gonna mainly provide us with 2 debuffs that we're gonna be able to take benefit of with the Puppet of Zatanna. He's gonna be able to do a 3rd debuff with his Special 2, and also we're going to get a 4th and a 5th debuff from Battle on the Drowned, one of them being the poison effect that she applies, and the other one being the dot damage from her passive when we get into final form. It's kind of weird because the dot from the final form is not gonna be like a constant debuff, but a debuff that's like pops up when every single time damage ticks. You can see that we get we randomly lose the full power and we get it back randomly. That's because it appears and disappears. That fifth negative effect, so-called, let's call it, with every instance of dot damage from the passive, which is definitely weird. Also, some people said that it might be a bug that you lose all the power when the Zatanna's puppet buffs expire, and it looks like a bug. I hope it's a bug, I hope it gets fixed, but it might be one of those situations where they're like, it's working as intended, don't worry about it. And that would definitely suck. Like, I would love to see the puppet of Zatanna not make you lose all the power when you are out of the empowered stance, but that's not a certainty. Just don't see that as a certainty. Definitely look forward to it, but don't see it as a certainty and then get disappointed. Special 2 in there, back into final form again. And yet again we're at the point where we keep losing and gaining the Zatanna full stacks. Yeah, that's Shazam down here in a second. There we go. Next fight is gonna be a little bit of an interesting one. It's gonna be just a cleanup fight, but this is gonna be the easiest way to discern how much the weakness debuff is going to help you out. Because we have Flash here, and he's gonna do on swipe attacks 40k damage. Just watch that 40k damage, because that's not necessarily gonna change in any way, shape or form, except by getting changed by the weakness that we're going to apply by removing all his buffs. Because when you remove his buffs of damage, I think that's dot damage that he gets there, you're going to receive yourself some damage. I mean, he's gonna receive weakness equal to the amount of buffs that you have removed, and we go with 3 weakness debuffs from 40k damage on swipe attacks to 83 or 89k. So that the weakness is quite powerful, and there might be some strategies, though it will be quite interesting to avoid unusual gameplay to make him get a lot of weakness at once and then one-shot his ass. And from this man, we actually got the first soul raid artifact I have ever received from this soul raid, which is the Talisman of Atlantis. Now look, we have a ton of power drain, power steal, power lock, super move, disable artifacts, and I'm honestly tired of them as a concept. But this is one of the better ones, because this is built very well in terms of scaling. Because rather than it being a chanced effect to lock the enemy's power, you're going to be guaranteed to lock the enemy's power. The only thing that's going to scale, it's going to be the duration for which you're going to lock it. And that's good. That's a good way to scale an artifact. Will this be useful for me? I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but most likely not at level 1, and most likely I'm not gonna upgrade it for a long ass time, but it can be used from level 1, that's good. Now moving on to boss Starfire from the secondary account. And with this fight I did some mistakes, because I badly anticipated some taggings of VPI, and she could have done so much better. Also, got the super move done here on Harley, and that could have killed her, but thankfully it didn't, because Starfire doesn't have enough damage yet. But yeah, this was, I think, the best stun that I did of the entire fight. When you're cycling between Harley and EPI, you need to stun with EPI in this fight, obviously, because Harley's special 2 is going to be disabled, and you need to time it properly, and I failed again to time it properly. Though we got super move out of the way, so that's something. We got power drain here, which is bad. We couldn't use the third special there as well. It required a lot of setup to get to the proper point here, and there's only 1 minute left, so even if we play it perfectly from this point, and I'll play it at the very least much better than the rest of the fights, it's gonna be a little bit too late. This is another great stun, and this was also on the Dark Metal cards. I think with this stun we did most of the damage we actually did in this fight. Another stun. This was a bad one, actually. This was badly timed. But yeah, that's still a lot of damage. Now, for the next fight, we're going to do a little bit of cleanup against her. And if your Confluent Sacrament is weak, you should use Nora Snow Globe in this fight. And even though you get only 1/3 special from the clones, but if he's built and strong enough, you can get a decent amount of damage from the Dark Metal cards. Just add Dr. Fate in there and let him die, and then you're going to get Confluent Sacrament with Dark Metal cards, and come and chop Starfire into the corner and basically bully her. And that can be a way to kill her, it's just gonna take a little bit longer than League of Anarchy overall. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye!